The Anderson family Thanksgiving dinner was its usual parade of subtle insults and not-so-subtle judgments. Mother's dining room sparkled with expensive china and carefully curated perfection, while my brother Michael held court at the head of the table, regaling everyone with tales of his Wall Street successes. I sat quietly, picking at my turkey, my phone periodically buzzing with updates from my development team. Tomorrow was going to be interesting, but for now I had to endure this annual ritual of familial disappointment. So, Sophia, Michael's wife Jennifer turned her perfectly highlighted face toward me. Still playing with your little app thing? I took a sip of water, hiding my smile. Something like that. Honey, my mother chimed in, her voice dripping with concern. Don't you think it's time to get a real job? Michael could help you find something at his firm. Michael laughed, swirling his expensive bourbon. His mom. Who would hire her? She's been playing entrepreneur for 3 years now, living in that tiny apartment, pretending to be a businesswoman. It's embarrassing. I checked my phone again. Our servers were handling the pre-launch traffic beautifully. 3 years of work was about to pay off, but my family was too busy judging my life choices to notice the gleam in my eye. What exactly is this app of yours anyway? Dad asked, finally looking up from his plate. Some kind of social media thing? It's a revolutionary privacy and communication platform, I started to explain, but Michael cut me off. Oh, please stop with the tech buzzwords. We all know it's probably just another chat app. He turned to the table at large. Last month she tried to get me to invest. Can you believe it? Wanted $2 million for what, 5% of nothing. Jennifer tittered behind her wine glass. Well, at least she's ambitious with her delusions. My phone buzzed again. A message from my CTO. Times Square billboard goes live at 9 a.m. tomorrow. NASDAQ opening bell at 9:30. You ready for this, boss? I texted back a quick thumbs up as my mother launched into her familiar lecture. Darling, we just worry about you. Living in that tiny apartment, working all hours with those computer people. It's not healthy. Not natural for a woman of your background. My apartment's quite comfortable, Mom, I replied, though I didn't mention that I owned the entire building. Or that my tiny apartment was actually the penthouse, disguised to keep up appearances until tomorrow. Comfortable. Michael scoffed. It's a shoebox in the tech district. Meanwhile, I just closed on my second Hampton house. That's what real success looks like, sis. Not some scam app that nobody's ever heard of. If he only knew that his precious Hampton house's mortgage had been approved through one of my subsidiary companies. Being invisible had its advantages, especially when gathering intel on your own family. Speaking of real success, Jennifer added, did you see the Wilson family's daughter on page 6? He just made junior partner at Goldman. Now that's a proper career. I smiled, remembering the meeting last week where that same Wilson daughter had practically begged for a pre-IPO allocation of my company's shares. She'd never realized who owned the company she was pitching to. What are you smiling about? Michael demanded. This isn't funny, Sophia. You're making our family look bad with this entrepreneur fantasy. It's time to grow up and get a real job. My phone buzzed one final time. The message made me want to laugh out loud. NASDAQ final valuation confirmed. Opening at $175 per share. Estimated market cap, $82 billion. You know what, Michael? I said, standing up from the table. You're right. It is time to grow up. And tomorrow's going to be very interesting. What's that supposed to mean? He asked, but I was already heading for the door. Sophia. Mother called after me. Don't be dramatic. Come back and finish dinner. Sorry, Mom. I have an early meeting tomorrow. A rather important one. I paused at the doorway. Oh, and Michael, you might want to check your phone service provider tomorrow. I hear there might be some changes in the industry. As I walked out, I heard Jennifer's confused voice. What does that mean? Michael, isn't your firm handling some big tech IPO tomorrow? If only they knew. But in less than 12 hours, they'd all find out exactly what their embarrassing relative had been building. At 8:45 a.m. the next morning, I stood in my real office, the entire top floor of a gleaming tower overlooking Times Square. Gone was the casual outfit from last night's dinner, replaced by a tailored Chanel suit that cost more than Jennifer's car. They're gathering, my assistant Emma reported, watching the live feed of my family arriving at Michael's firm. He'd invited them all to watch his big tech IPO deal, completely unaware of what was about to unfold. Phone service status? I asked, adjusting my cuffs. Ready to implement Protocol 0 at your command, my CTO Alex confirmed. One button and their entire network switches to SecureNet infrastructure. Their old service provider. Well, they won't know what hit them. I smiled, remembering Michael's mocking words about my scam app. SecureNet wasn't just an app. It was a complete telecommunications revolution. A quantum-encrypted communication platform that would make traditional phone services obsolete. And in about 15 minutes it would own the market. Times Square billboard going live in 3, 2, 1. Emma counted down. The massive screen flickered to life and my face appeared 40 feet tall above Times Square. SecureNet, the future of private communication. Founded by Sophia Anderson. My phone immediately lit up with calls from my family. I declined them all. Pull up the feed from Michael's office, I instructed. The wall screen showed my family gathered around Michael's desk, their faces a picture of shock as they stared out his window at the Times Square announcement. Jennifer had dropped her designer handbag. Mom was clutching her pearls. And Michael was frantically typing on his computer. He's trying to access our investor database, Alex reported with a grin. Should I let him in? Give him access to the primary investor list, I nodded. Let's see how he handles seeing his clients' names. Within moments, Michael's face turned pale. Every major client his firm handled had secretly invested in SecureNet. The Wilson daughter he'd praised last night had secured shares for Goldman Sachs. Even his beloved Hampton House Mortgage Company was a SecureNet subsidiary. NASDAQ opening bell in 5 minutes, Emma announced. Your family's phones should be switching now. On the screen, I watched as every phone in Michael's office suddenly displayed the SecureNet logo. My mother's attempt to make a call was met with a new interface, one that would soon become the standard worldwide. Your brother's trying to call the phone company, Alex chuckled. But they're unavailable. Being acquired tends to do that. I straightened my jacket and headed for the elevator. It was time to ring the opening bell at NASDAQ and I had a stop to make first. Ms. Anderson, Emma called after me. What about your family's calls? Let them go to voicemail, I replied. I have a feeling they'll be leaving some interesting messages. Save them, they'll make good material for my autobiography. The private elevator descended to the 47th floor, Michael's office level. As the doors opened, I heard the chaos before I saw it. This is impossible. Michael was shouting into his new SecureNet phone. My sister is a nobody. She doesn't. Doesn't what, brother dear? I asked, stepping into his office. The room fell silent. My mother's coffee cup crashed to the floor. Dad's jaw dropped. Jennifer looked like she might faint. Nice view, I commented, glancing at Times Square through his window. Though I prefer mine from the penthouse. You know that tiny apartment you've been mocking? It takes up the top 3 floors of this building. Which I own, by the way. You own Anderson Tower? Michael stammered. Among other things, I smiled. Now if you'll excuse me, I have to go ring the NASDAQ opening bell. Our IPO is about to make history. I turned to leave, then paused. Oh, and Michael, about that $2 million you wouldn't invest for 5%? That would be worth about $4 billion today. The sound of Jennifer's designer heels snapping as she staggered backward was particularly satisfying. Wait. Mom called out. Sophia, darling, we should talk about this. As a family. We will, I assured her. At next year's Thanksgiving dinner. In my penthouse. Assuming your SecureNet phones are working properly by then. As the elevator doors closed on their shocked faces, I heard Michael's last desperate cry. But what about my Hampton House mortgage? Sometimes the best revenge isn't just success. It's success they can see from every window in New York City. The NASDAQ opening bell ceremony was everything I'd planned and more. As I stood on the platform surrounded by my actual team, the computer people my mother had dismissed, I could see my family watching from the audience, having frantically followed me there. Introducing Sophia Anderson, founder and CEO of SecureNet Technologies, the announcer's voice boomed. Whose revolutionary quantum encryption platform is being called the biggest technological leap since the internet itself. I stepped up to the podium, adjusting my microphone as cameras flashed. In the audience, Michael was frantically whispering to his Wall Street colleagues, probably trying to explain why he'd never mentioned his sister was about to become one of the richest people in tech. SecureNet began with a simple idea. I started my speech making direct eye contact with my family. That privacy isn't just a luxury, it's a right. That communication shouldn't be controlled by outdated systems and outdated thinking. Jennifer was typing furiously on her new SecureNet phone, likely trying to access her social media accounts, which coincidentally had all been migrated to our secure platform overnight. 3 years ago when I started this company, many people called it a scam. I continued, watching Michael squirm. They said it was impossible, delusional, even embarrassing. My mother's face had achieved a shade of red that clashed terribly with her expensive blush. But today, SecureNet isn't just going public, we're going universal. As of this morning, our platform has integrated with or acquired every major telecommunications provider in North America. By noon Europe. By evening global. The crowd gasped. This part hadn't been in the public filing. My CFO stepped forward with a tablet showing the real-time acquisition updates. We weren't just launching an app, we were swallowing an entire industry. And for those wondering about the transition, I smiled directly at Michael. Check your phones. You're already using SecureNet. Welcome to the future. The opening bell rang and SecureNet stock appeared on the big board. $175 per share. Then $190. $210. The room erupted in chaos as traders realized what was happening. My father had fallen into his chair, staring at his phone's trading app, which now ran on SecureNet's platform. He'd always prided himself on his investment wisdom, but he'd missed the biggest tech launch in history happening under his own roof. As photographers swarmed the platform, Emma appeared at my side. Your brother's trying to reach the Hampton House Mortgage Company again. Let him through this time, I nodded. To the new CEO. You mean you? Exactly. Minutes later, Michael pushed through the crowd. Sophia, we need to talk. The mortgage company, they're saying that I own it? I finished for him. Yes, through one of SecureNet's subsidiaries. Don't worry, we're not foreclosing. Consider it a reminder of today's lesson in judging books by their covers. But how? Jennifer appeared beside him, clutching her malfunctioning social media apps. You lived in that small apartment, you drove that basic car. I lived in a penthouse and kept my Lamborghini in the private garage, I corrected her. You just never bothered to look past your assumptions. Too busy bragging about junior partners at Goldman Sachs, who, by the way, now own 2% of my company. Mother pushed forward next. Darling, we should have a family dinner to discuss all this. Tonight, perhaps? At your penthouse. I checked my actual watch, a subtle Patek Philippe that cost more than their Hampton house. Can't tonight, Mom. I have a meeting with the European Union's Technology Commission. We're revolutionizing their entire communications infrastructure. Tomorrow then? Next week I'm in Tokyo. Then Singapore. Then a quick stop at our quantum computing facility in Switzerland. I paused, enjoying their expressions. But I'm free for Thanksgiving. Same time as always. Though this year I'll host. The stock ticker caught my eye. SecureNet had just passed $300 per share. My net worth had increased by billions in the last hour alone. Now if you'll excuse me, I smiled at my shell-shocked family. I have a company to run. Several companies, actually. Emma will help you with your new SecureNet accounts. Though Michael, I turned to my brother, you might want to update your resume. I hear Goldman's looking for people who can spot real business opportunities. As I walked away, surrounded by my executive team, I heard Jennifer's desperate whisper. Michael, can we still afford the Hampton house? Sometimes the best revenge isn't just success on a billboard. It's success that restructures the entire digital world. And if that success happens to turn your family's phones into constant reminders of their poor judgment, well, that's just good business. 1 year after the IPO, I stood in my penthouse kitchen watching my staff prepare for this year's Thanksgiving dinner. The same family members who'd mocked my little app would be dining under a crystal chandelier that cost more than Michael's former annual bonus. Latest numbers are in, Emma reported, tablet in hand. SecureNet just hit 7 billion active users. We've officially connected more people than any platform in history. I nodded, adjusting a place setting. And Michael's resume? still circulating on Wall Street. After his firm lost their major clients to us, his options have been limited. She smirked. Though Goldman did offer him a position in middle management, I finished. I know. I approved it. The elevator chimed, announcing the first arrivals. My parents entered, looking considerably more humble than last year. Mom had exchanged her showy designer clothes for understated elegance, while Dad clutched a bottle of wine like a peace offering. Sophia, darling, Mom started, then faltered as she took in the penthouse's grandeur. The 3-story windows offered a panoramic view of Manhattan, including Times Square where SecureNet's success still played on permanent display. Welcome, I said simply. Jennifer and Michael should be up shortly. Though they might be delayed, their SecureNet-powered car service is programmed to take the scenic route. Dad cleared his throat. We saw the Forbes cover. The woman who rewired the world. You look powerful. Really? I raised an eyebrow. More powerful than playing entrepreneur? He had the grace to look embarrassed. The elevator chimed again. Michael and Jennifer entered, both looking slightly carsick from their extended ride. Jennifer's once perfect highlight job had grown out. Personal stylists were expensive when your husband's salary had been cut by 80%. Nice of you to join us. I gestured to the living room where a wall of screens displayed SecureNet's global operations. I thought you might enjoy seeing what a scam app looks like when it runs the world's communications. Michael stared at the screens, watching as trillions of encrypted messages flowed through our quantum networks. Sophia, about last year. You mean when you called my company embarrassing? I sat in what had once been his seat at the head of the table. Water under the bridge. Though you might want to check your SecureNet account, there's a notification about your Hampton house. He frantically pulled out his phone, the latest SecureNet model that wasn't even available to the public yet. What did you do?